Hey guys, it's Dani. Today we're gonna talk about Tolumnia orchids. I shared with you a little picture with this particular Tolumnia on the community tab and you guys really liked it. So I think it's time to make a little update on my existing Tolumnia orchids. Not all of them are in perfect condition. Some of them arrived to me without roots. So we're gonna talk about how to save them. Tolumnias are actually not very fragile orchids. I know they can give us headaches from certain points of view, but when it comes to bouncing back, they're actually pretty hardy. And also, we're gonna change the setup for them. As you can see, I have some little planters that I'm really excited about. Now, these planters were actually sent to me. We're gonna talk about this company more in a different video because I do have other stuff to share with you. But just so you know, the online store that sent me these is Stilyo. You can find it linked in the description. They have all sorts of home decoration, plant-related products, little pots, little really cute things. And about a month ago, they contacted me asking if I want to try out some of their products in a video. And the very first product that I saw on their website is this one. And I thought instantly, Tolumnias, yes, I want these. So a little backstory. If you don't know, a while back, I lost all of my precious Tolumnias that I've been growing for a few years. I tried to grow them outside. I was not careful, even though I tried to be. I ended up losing all of them. They scorched within a day. Check that video down below if you want to learn more. So I ordered a few more Tolumnias to recreate my collection, but I don't know what they are. I purchased them as a mix, as a bunch, a no ID bunch, for a lot cheaper than the typical price, and I thought, you know what, it's gonna be really exciting to care for them, and finally when they bloom, to anticipate what they could be. I think it's pretty fun to do that sometimes, just buying no IDs and see what happens. But I kind of struggled with the setup. At the beginning of the year, I grew my Tolumnia orchids in little baskets, but I covered the bottom. I live in a very warm environment, which makes water evaporate like nothing else. So for me, it's actually advisable to use solid floors in my baskets. It's not something needed. It's not something Tolumnias need or anything. It's just something that helps me out. So being that my Tolumnias did okay in those baskets, but I had to water a little bit too often, I thought, you know what, maybe I can recreate the basket idea, but on a horizontal level, using some sort of containers. And I went to all of the stores around here. I could not find something suitable. The most suitable thing was the shot glass, but it's transparent and I just know it would have been full of algae in no time. I wanted something more opaque, and the closest thing that I found to being workable are these cute, very colorful little glasses. They don't look so great. Yes, they have coconut fiber because they're kind of tall. They're not very shallow as I wanted them, but I wasn't very happy with them, and I thought, okay, since they're doing okay like this, I'm gonna concentrate on other stuff and wait for the grand idea to come. And why do you know it? There we have it. This happens to come into my life. Now, what these are little containers designed for little plants, such as succulents or even air plants. Why not? They're not necessarily designed to go with soil, but you could put soil in them. They even have a drainage hole. All of them, as you can see. But since I needed something for my Tolumnias and I wanted it to have a solid floor, I actually covered the drainage hole. So I'll show you really fast how I do this. I showed you on my gardening channel, but many of you are not subscribed to that channel. What I do is cover it with hot glue because in essence it is actually silicone. So what I do is put hot glue around the drainage hole on the bottom. For more reinforcement, I use a solid plastic. I take it from a lid from one of the transparent cups that I use. I put a little hot glue on the lid as well and then attach it to the drainage hole on the bottom. Inside the pot, I put another blob of silicone, not too much, and then I wait. And when the silicone is all solidified, I just remove that piece of plastic and hey presto, I have a sealed container, and it is actually waterproof. And what's the best part is that this hot glue can actually be removed. Since my containers are glazed, the hot glue doesn't really stick all that much to them. So if I discover at some point that the covering of the drainage hole is not okay, or if I want to repurpose these pots, I can simply just remove the hot glue and hey presto. So in the meantime, I actually did all of them. One thing I like to do is just make sure they don't drip. So I just put some water in and I see if there's any leakage. This little water here is because I actually rinsed them a little bit. So there is no dripping as far as I can see. I'm ready to plant my Tolumnias. So I'm going to be using Spagna Moss with these little containers because they're just very, very tiny, and I know they're gonna dry out very fast. I used Spagna Moss with my Tolumnias in the balcony days in my previous environment, and it worked absolutely great. Plus, as I was saying, some of these Tolumnias are not in good condition, and this is one that you don't know. I purchased it, I think 4 months ago. It's one that I always wanted. It's the Genting Volcano. It's beautiful. I got it from a seller in France. Check him down below as well. I'll link everything in the description, you guys know. And the problem was this orchid arrived without roots, in very poor condition, but it didn't really die ever since I purchased it. As you can see, I have it in my little Spagna Moss container. This is how I like to promote roots, or at least maintain my orchids with no roots, more humid. And this orchid didn't do anything ever since, but I just now see it is starting to grow something here. So I think Spagna Moss will be actually a better idea than this coconut husk for many of them because they're not in the bestest of shape. These were, I think, in worse condition than the tagged Tolumnias, but I didn't pay much for them, so I'm taking the risk. I think we can save them, so that's what we're gonna do today. So first of all, I want to get them out from this little setup that I made for them. As you can see, the bottom was wet, so I was maintaining humidity at the bottom, but it's just not enough. And as you can see, the orchids don't really have too many good roots. So the first thing that I want to do is remove them from the setup, and not only, I want to remove them from this little basket they came in. It's kind of tiny, and I cannot really put this basket in the container and make it look good. I actually don't need the little basket. Here we go. Oh, looky here, we have brand new roots. They're not even attached to the basket, so it's easy. So let me give you a close-up of the root system. From all of these, you can see these older roots, they're dead. I will try to remove them, but we have growing root tips. This is what happens when you do provide some moisture in the root area. At least in my experience, this is the best way to promote new root tips. I'll link you again down below to a video in which I talk even more about it. So what I'm gonna do is wet the roots because they will green up if they're alive, and I'm going to cut away everything that is dead, meaning everything that is papery like this, it doesn't green up. So let's just speed up this process. Alrighty, so I cleaned up the root system of my Tolumnia orchid. I kept on quite a few roots. This is one of the happy cases. Some of these other Tolumnias don't look so good, but I did find in the back here another growth point, which is so nice. So I didn't go really hard on removing the roots just to protect that growth, and I think it's looking quite okay. So for this particular one, because we do actually have quite a root system, I'm going to go for the bigger seashell. And as I was telling you, we're going to use Spagna Moss. My moss is already damp, and of course we're gonna keep things airy. We're not going to compact anything. We want the moss to maintain the moisture and offer a good anchoring medium for the orchid, but we don't want to compact it. It's really easy to compact moss, and you really shouldn't do it because it can suffocate the root system. So let's make a little nest here for my little orchid. Might have to remove some of this moss. Actually, no, I think we're good. There we have it. So I need a few more strains. And here we have it, my orchid is all done. Isn't she gorgeous? I love these little seashells. Look at this. And as you can see, the Spagna Moss is really, really fluffy here. It looks just like a little nest. I have no doubt that this orchid will do great from now on. And the best thing is, no matter what she is, I don't have her because I lost all of my Tolumnias. So I'm gonna go ahead and do the others just like this, and then we're gonna come back, talk about watering, and then I'm gonna do something about this one. So here are my 4 Tolumnias all potted up, and I think they look adorable. And the best thing is, I can use these just as such. I don't need to put a dish underneath. So I can put them in my display shelf on the southern window and they will blend in through the other pots just seamlessly. I think it's gonna be great. So how about watering? Well, it is actually Spagna Moss, and this is a very wicking material. We don't need to soak the plants, we don't need to go through all sorts of actions to get it wet. As you might already know from my previous videos, I have a wash bottle which I use for the past few years, and it's so helpful with tiny little pots or when I need to direct water where I need it. So because my moss is already wet, I'm not gonna wet them now, not gonna water, but typically I would go about just pouring some water in. Since I do have semi-hydro and also self-watering pots, I kind of have a formed eye. I kind of know how much water to put. Plus, we don't need to water all of it or get all of the surfaces. Moss will wick the water from wherever it is. It's a very wicking material. So in the end, it will get wet. All I need to do is not put a lot of water since I don't have drainage. And even if I do put a lot of water, you can tilt it and it's gonna drain. Now there's no need for fertilizing. I will start with very low amounts for this orchid and this orchid. They have roots. These ones don't have roots yet, so no fertilizer just yet. And if by chance I need to flush, I can just submerge this into a little jar, or I can just fill it up with water, let it sit for a while and then just kind of drain it out. And hey presto. But being that this is just such a tiny little pot, and I don't know if you can tell, it's just super tiny. It's not gonna stay wet for days and days. At least in my environment, this is not gonna happen. But of course, if I find out it's a little bit too wet, I can remove that little drainage block that we made with the glue gun and problem solved. There's no problem. I think it's gonna work great. And Spagna Moss will actually promote the proper moisture for these orchids to root as well, and I hope they will root fast. So we're pretty much done with these ones. This one is a little bit heavy, but she's okay. Now I wanna talk a little bit more about this particular one. So I'm gonna go arrange these on their shelves, come back when I'm done. Okay, I want to take this one separately because there are some things happening. Being that I have her already for 4 months or so, I do need to remove something. There is a dead growth here, which I need to remove before repotting it, and I do want to take a closer look at that new growth that is sprouting from in between the leaves here. I'm not sure if it has space to create roots, so I want to see what's going on. You can see that this growth is not looking okay. Even if we still have a green leaf here, everything else is pretty gone. Or is it? Let's just take away these sheaths, see what we have here. Actually, it is going away. The base is brown, so even though we have a green leaf, this growth is not healthy. And I think I need to cut the rhizome. Let's just do that. And by the way, I did sterilize my pair of pruners before I worked on this one. Now the good news is the rhizome looks nice. It doesn't look brown. It doesn't have the purple ring. I think she's okay from this point of view. I just think she was dehydrated. I'm not going to remove any of the previous growths because they help the new growth. I will, however, remove this first leaf because it is pretty thick, and right now the new growth is pretty fragile. I want the roots that it will create to not stop growing, not be impaired by anything. You can see this is the new growth. And we're gonna see if we need to detangle the leaves there, but first I need to remove this leaf. Okay, there we have it. And now let's see what's going on here. Oh my. So because this orchid is dehydrated, it didn't have enough pressure to just poke through the leaves, and it just made its way through the leaves of the existing growth. Let's see if I can get her out of there. Okay, so the bad news is that I needed to cut this leaf to get her out, and right now I can just split this leaf, and there we have it. She's free. Oh, she's so pretty. I need to cut this leaf as well, just to make sure nothing is bothering it. Okay, not the cleanest of cuts, but it's okay. Good news is this growth already started tiny little roots. So she's gonna push out roots in no time. The Spagna Moss will be a great addition for her. And there we have it. I think my little volcano Tolumnia will be saved. I'm not going to cut away these roots because this, amazingly enough, feels pretty firm. Not sure if it's alive. I don't even want to attempt to cut it. So I'm going to leave them on. Two little roots will not spoil the medium all that much. and let's just pot her up. Okay, so I decided to use this little container on its side just to give more space here, although I think I could have used it on the other side as well. It's okay for now. And there you have it. So happy about what I found in here. Now, before I let you go, I actually got a comment on the picture that I posted from one of my viewers saying they actually just put their Tolumnias in real seashells. Now, I think you can do that. I think it's cute. There are two things that I think you should keep in mind. First, seashells leach out calcium. That's why we put crushed seashells in the Paphiopedilum mixes. Whether it will leach out too much, I'm not sure really. But it's definitely something to keep in mind and to keep your eyes on the orchid for. And second, if you have those seashells with a very tight curl, well, the roots will actually grow into that tight curl. And if at some point you want to remove the orchid from the seashell, you will have to damage the roots. If they go into the swirl, it's done. You cannot really remove them. These ones, as you saw, they don't have any swirls or anything. So when I want to remove these orchids, I think I do have a chance of actually not damaging the root system way too much if I pre-soak it very well. The container is glazed as well, so theoretically it should not stick all that much, but we shall see. So alrighty guys, remember everything, all the links that I mentioned and the store is down in the description if you're interested. And thank you so much for watching. Hope you found this interesting and maybe gave you some inspiration. And you know the drill, if you did enjoy it, give it a thumbs up. If you hated it, give it a thumbs down. Subscribe to my channel for regular orchid videos, tutorials, and new setup ideas. And if you like YouTube to notify you whenever I upload a new video, just turn on notifications for my channel and hopefully YouTube will notify you. And with that said, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Bye!